gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III.
The altercation on Friday between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Trump, and J.D. Vance, leaders of two countries that are supposed to be long-standing allies, was a boiling over of rising tensions between not only the U.S. and Ukraine, but also between the United States and the long-established world order that has the U.S. allied with Europe in an existential struggle to prevent the spread of Russia's influence in Europe and around the world. After the pivotal, potentially historical standoff at the White House last week, that long-standing world order may be dramatically shifting. How did we get here, and what does this all mean for the world going forward? Let's get into it. My degrees are in U.S. law and politics, but this meeting on Friday was so pivotal to the future of the U.S. internationally and internally that I would be remiss not to discuss it. So this is not a treatise on U.S. international relations, nor is it a philosophical discussion on the merits of the current world order, okay? We're talking brass tacks today. First, some background so we know how we got here. So Russia first invaded Ukraine in 2014, annexing the region called Crimea. It was an act of aggression, with Putin claiming that the land rightfully belongs to Russia, and the democratic world condemning the act because it is an invasion of a sovereign democratic nation, and ever since World War II, those acts have been generally frowned upon, given the whole outcome of that war once Hitler started doing that. Saying never again meant building up an international relations apparatus that condemns acts of aggression, creates strong alliances among democratic nations, and places a huge importance on diplomacy and moving very carefully. Move fast, break things is a really, really bad idea where nuclear warheads and mutually assured destruction are involved, you know? And listen, this video is not a treatise on U.S. foreign relations, and there are so many heinous things the U.S. has done in other countries under the pretext of democracy and stopping the commies, so I am in no way saying America is the ultimate defender of democracy in actuality, but I am saying our official stance for decades, literally since the Second World War, is that Russia bad, democracy good. And we've done everything we can to maintain alliances in Europe so that our current global order isn't turned on its head through another horrific bloody conflict, this time involving multiple countries with nuclear weapons capabilities. That's the criminally simplified version of it, at least. Then enter Trump, taking his protectionist America First policy ideals combined with his obsession with Hunter Biden's laptop and the Biden family involvement with Ukrainian businesses. You have the infamous perfect phone call, as Trump called it, with Zelensky in 2019, in which Trump tried to condition aid to Ukraine on Zelensky agreeing to dig up dirt on Joe Biden ahead of the 2020 election. It's a phone call for which Trump eventually got impeached a second time. So there is history there of Trump seeing Ukraine as a bargaining chip to get what he wants.
Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. President. With the, how much money is the U.S. going to put into the fund that is being created today, and how does this provide long-term security for Ukraine?
Well, we don't know exactly how much because we're going to be putting some money in a fund that we're going to get from the raw earth that we're going to be taking and sharing in terms of revenue. So it's going to be a lot of money will be made from the sale and from the use of raw earth. And as you know, our country doesn't have much raw earth. We have a lot of oil and gas, but we don't have a lot of the raw earth. And what we do have is protected by the environmentalists, but that can be unprotected, but still it's not very much. They have among the best in the world in terms of raw earth. So we're going to be using that, using it for all of the things we do, including AI and including weapons and the military, and it's really going to very much satisfy our needs. So it's something that just worked out really well. We have a lot of oil, and we have a lot of gas, we have a lot, but we don't have raw earth. So this has just about every component of the raw earth that we need for computers, for all of the things we do.
At the same time as all of this, Trump has grown ever cozier with Russia, and I think it's important to take a moment here to recognize Trump's relationship with Russia because it's been going on for a long, long time, like since the 80s, since before the end of the Cold War. An ex-KGB spy has recently made the allegation that Trump was recruited as a Russian spy when he visited the country with his first wife in 1987. That's not been officially verified and may not be true, but that sensationalist story that he was a spy with a code name and everything distracts from the fact that he has long ties to Putin and to Russia in a way that should be incredibly concerning. Trump, ever convinced of his business prowess, took offense to Zelensky insinuating that Putin wouldn't stick to his word if Trump made the deal. And the U.S. has given so much to Ukraine that actually these minerals were just repayment for that past aid, as though foreign military aid to our allies is a business transaction and a loan with interest and repayment terms. It's giving Sopranos, it's giving Loan Shark, it's giving I gave you something and now I own you vibes that are very much not in line with how we've ever done diplomacy with our allies. Zelensky warned that the U.S. would also feel the consequences if Russia's power and aggression continued to grow. It was actually JD who escalated things by admonishing Zelensky like a child for not being thankful enough, even though Zelensky has thanked the U.S., according to the New York Times, 94 times, and was speaking respectfully at this meeting where it was his literal job to advocate for his country. And Trump took it further by raising his voice and accusing Zelensky of gambling with World War III by not just accepting that Trump will walk up to Putin and make this deal happen, and by not just signing over billions in mineral rights with no guarantee of further U.S. aid and protection. When the exchange ended, the U.S. coalition and the Ukrainian coalition separated to regroup before what was supposed to be a sit-down lunch and a formal press conference leading to the signing of this mineral deal. Instead, Trump's people told Zelensky and his people that it was canceled and they should leave. They kicked him out of the White House. It is unprecedented in modern memory for the leaders of two countries, especially two allied countries with long-standing ties, where one is in the middle of an existential war and the other is supposedly its greatest backer in that war, to speak to each other in this way. I just want to be clear about how absolutely batshit, bonkers, cuckoo bananas this exchange was. This is not normal.
Back to the White House, Jackie Heinrich has some new information for us. Jackie.
Yeah, I just went up to the press area to get an understanding of what we're watching. This is what I was told. The president has kicked Zelensky out of the White House. His delegation right now is telling him that he's got to go home. The president felt disrespected. Officials in the room felt that beyond the language barrier that we've heard some discussion about, Zelensky's body language, shrugging and eye-rolling, was ungrateful, disrespectful, and the president feels that Zelensky is not ready for peace, and he can come back when he's ready to talk about peace, but he's not in that position right now, and Zelensky is being told he's got to go. The lunch that they were supposed to have is sitting right outside the hallway, and the press staffers are going to be eating that lunch. This is really pretty incredible. We see the
Jackie,
SUV,
hang on with us one
Zelensky's
moment.
SUV.
If you look to your left, you're going to see him. Let's watch.
Mr. President, can you tell us what happened? Is the deal off? President Zelensky, can you tell us what happened?
This after Zelensky was like, please, I literally want to do a deal with you. The minerals deal was Zelensky's idea. But Republicans are just like, well, sounds like he just doesn't want peace. And then a spokesperson for the Kremlin was like, well, sounds like Zelensky just doesn't want peace. Maybe he should step down. And when the official U.S. administration stance aligns exactly with the official Kremlin stance, that is something that should be ringing alarm bells, especially given Trump's other statements in recent days that align with Russian propaganda, such as that Ukraine actually started the war, which is patently false, and that Zelensky is a dictator. Also false. He was democratically elected, and the election meant to be held last year has been delayed because of the emergency circumstances in the country, which is similar to what happened in Great Britain during World War II, for example. In fact, the Russian spokesman even said that the rapidly changing U.S. foreign policy configurations largely coincide with Russia's vision. Yikes. Which is why I think this entire meeting was pretext for further siding with Russia and degrading our alliances with Europe and removing aid to Ukraine. And seeing how Trump and his little nerd in the corner JD, who dresses just like Daddy Donald in a blue suit, white shirt, and red tie, reacted when Zelensky so much as gently pushed back on the assertion that Trump shouldn't trust Putin on his word and asked for continued protection from a longtime ally that was already doing that, indicates to me that they are incredibly sensitive to any sign of pushback or non-subservience. Republicans were commenting on how rude it was, not only that Zelensky didn't wear a suit, but also that he had his arms crossed and was shaking his head. Meanwhile, JD and Trump are literally yelling at his face and acting incredibly aggressive. And the fact that they were willing to say and do this on the record in public in front of the world indicates to me that this expectation of complete subservience underlies every single interaction Trump has, and that he is willing to go to great lengths to retaliate when that subservience isn't met. Imagine what's happening behind closed doors if they're comfortable doing this in public. And yes, to a certain extent, we knew this already, but to see it so publicly, forcefully, blatantly, shamelessly on the world stage was shocking to see. I felt it in the pit of my stomach as that footage was coming out on Friday.
Yes, go ahead, please.
If I can just, yes. in the document, there is one of the very important points if we speak about business and investment. We never had LNG terminals in Ukraine. This document will open. I mean, the next document, but anyway, here we see in the framework, we see really goodwill for this. LNG terminals for us is very important, and I think for security of European continent. We have the biggest storage, gas storage. We have the biggest in Europe. Yes, yes, and we can use it. Use it for LNG. Use it for LNG, and we will do it. And really, we can help Europe because Europe really helped. President Trump said that they made less support, but they are our friends and they are our very supportive partners. They really gave a lot, Mr. President. They did.
They gave a lot, but they gave much less.
No.
Much less.
No.
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 Okay.
So let's get the lay of the land here, because as I keep saying, the point is to overwhelm us to the point of not caring. So we need a big picture moment to understand where we are. Now, I've seen a couple comments lately from people annoyed that I'm just making episodes complaining about problems but offering zero tangible solutions on here, as though content creators are the final bastion for democracy and they hold the secret key to our collective salvation. Bitch, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, because I don't think there is one. Not on like a national level. I think the solution is remaining vigilant and informed and speaking out against injustice, which is what I'm doing. But saving the world cannot be placed on my shoulders, okay?